Why your friends are keeping you poor. Your friends are holding you back and you don't even realize. The people you are with now most likely will not fit your future. My name is Devin Johnson, serial entrepreneur, failed and scaled multiple businesses, and I'll be the first to tell you there are seasons of certain friendships. There are some outliers where you can maintain a friendship for life, such as my business partner and a couple of my friends from school. The majority of them, including family, I've either outgrown or I've had to put distance between me now and me then. And it doesn't mean that you don't love them. The mentality just changes as you continue to move up in the ranks in your role, in your business, and your entrepreneurial journey. Whatever path you're on, the cycle of friends in your environments have to match your future, not your past. If you want to level up, you have to take a hard look and take inventory of the people that you're spending the most time with. The most basic saying, you're the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And with that being said, I strongly encourage you, just the start of this video, write down the top 5 people that you spend the time with and start thinking about the conversations that you have. In this video, I'm gonna break down 5 signs that you have the wrong friends and you're spending the time with the wrong people to fit your future. Problem number 1, they normalize bad spending habits. Think about your friends. If they're consistently living for the weekends, asking you to go out Friday, Saturday, and do it all again the following weekend, drinking, clubbing. Maybe it's not on the club scene, but it's stretching you every single weekend to where you feel like you can never get ahead. The paycheck to paycheck mentality is very toxic. Do not live for the weekend, live for the future version of yourself. So I strongly want you to consider, you should at this point have 5 people on your friends list that you spend a lot of time with. Right next to them, are they consistently asking you to make poor spending decisions, whether that be at the bars, the concerts, the experiences? You have to have a separation season in business, which that means you put aside your personal wants, needs, desires, and you put everything into carving the version of you want, and that takes massive sacrifice. Problem number 2, lack of action. Look at the friends list, right? Again, you should have a piece of paper in front of you. Are they taking massive action to better themselves? They may not financially be crushing it. That is okay. We all have our journey. We all have our timing. Are they chasing their fitness goals? Are they trying to advance in their career? Are they trying to start their business? They don't have to be at the top, and that is okay, but are they at least trying? Are they taking some massive action towards the people that they want to be and you want to be in your future self, right? Take inventory of how they're spending their time. If they're just going to work 9 to 5, coming home, smoking weed, drinking, talking about the past, so on and so forth, that is massive signs of lack of action, and you need to be aware of that. Problem number 3, this friend group, if they're never taking risks, such as betting on themselves, signing up for that gym membership, investing into books, investing into the education of themselves. I mean, I can name 15 things that could quote unquote be considered risks. So if you always hear things like, oh, it's not the right time. I don't know when I'm going to do this. The woulda, coulda, shoulda statements is what should be throwing flags, right? People have to take risk. There's no entrepreneur, business, nobody has gotten rich without taking risks. Even the Silver Spoon trust funds, someone in their family took massive risk and bet it all. You have to be all in at some point. Problem number 4, lack of wealthy conversations. And what do I mean by that? You may not be there financially, and again, that is okay. I'll be the first to admit, everybody's on their own timeline. I mean, some of the most successful people didn't even see wealth well into their 40s. But what are they talking about? Are they talking about, what about this investment strategy? Are they talking about, how do I make my money work for me? Are they talking about investing into a conference so they can learn more about their industry that they want to thrive in? Those type of conversations should be happening well into your 20s, especially your mid-20s. That friend group should be talking about how to successfully position themselves to kill it later in their lives and ultimately live the lives that you want to live. Problem number 5 to be aware of, the past. What do I mean about that? So if you have that friend that talks about how he was the stud college athlete or the stud high school athlete. I'll call it your hometown hero. So if you have a good friend and all they can reference is high school or college, and they're talking about back in the day, my family did this, back in the day, back in the day, back in the day, or when this happened, or when this happened, that is a telltale sign they are not thinking about themselves in future state. And that is very dangerous. If you live in the past, how can you move forward? That is a number one sign for me that someone is not focusing on the better version of themselves if all they can talk about is the past, drama, and someone else's business. Those are the three things that I really watch for in that past conversation. Now that I've given you the 5 things to watch for in your friend circle, how can you actually make a shift? Because again, I'll be the first to tell you, you could still like these people, love these people, and still be quote unquote in your environment, but you have to make a shift. And it's time to make a shift, especially if you know you're not where you want to be in your ultimate state. Number 1, we're already working on it in this video. You're auditing your circle. Take hard inventory, make notes, pay attention in your next social settings, your next time that you're with those 5 people, and encourage them and poke around in these 5 areas that we've highlighted. If they consistently get stuck on one, take inventory of that and be mindful. Number 2, diversify your network. What do I mean by that? If you follow someone on Instagram that's crushing it in your industry or a fellow entrepreneur, shoot them a DM. I've mentioned in some previous videos, I like to do a shoot your shot. So I like to send messages to people that I look up to, that I learn from, and who knows if they're going to respond. But at least I'm progressing to continue to diversify my network. Next, that's more practical, invest into conferences, networking groups, and business groups that are in your industry and related to what you're trying to achieve ultimately. I would also encourage you to audit your social media following. Who are you following, and do they fit your now or do they fit your future? Get out of the toxic, Instagram models, so on and so forth, and people talking about drama and reality TV, and start following who you want to be. Number 3, lead by example. I strongly encourage you to have your personal why statement defined and the future state of you documented on a single piece of paper. That's a different exercise for a different video. But ultimately, you need to be leading by example. Have the conversations about the future. Have the conversations about investment. Have the conversations about new people that you've met that are inspiring you and encouraging you. And ultimately, be self-aware in every conversation. If you find yourself in one of those 5 conversations or topics, quickly try to transition and start to change and audit the conversations you're having within your social circles. The last thing that we can do to start taking massive action towards changing our friends group is build momentum. It's small steps. I always say, how do you eat an elephant? It's one bite at a time. You have to take small steps to ultimately get to your end goal. And it's very simple. Change the conversations, change the environment, and start to say no. If you know you shouldn't be out drinking because financially you can't be spending that money because you're working towards your future, simply stay home and just say no. People respect that, believe it or not. And if they have a problem with it, that is a red flag that is not a friend that fits your future. So start taking inventory, encouraging you to say no, and lead by example by changing the conversations, changing the rooms, and start encouraging your friend group to move with you. If they don't move with you, move on, right? You can compartmentalize mentally. I have people that I love, like, and have conversations with that are in. However, I have like a gear that I switch mentally. I understand that's where they're at, and I have shorter conversations. And even though, I love them, like them, whatever, right? Whatever terminology you want to use. I just have shorter conversations and I make sure they're doing okay. And make sure that, there's nothing that I could do to help them progress. But I'm always having a conversation about trying to get them to that next level. Whether they lean into it or not, I still want to see them win. Ultimately, you have to be the one that charges through the storm. One of my favorite expressions in business and life is the classic example of cows versus buffaloes. When there's a storm, there's always a storm when you're going through that next stage. The buffaloes run through the storm and get through it. The cows run away from it. That is another thing that you start to take inventory of. If your friend groups are consistently running away from problems, changing careers because it's too hard, just think about anything that's hard for them. If they're consistently thinking about woulda, coulda, shoulda, and they're not they're running away from it. Be the buffalo, run through the storm, and lead by example. To finish off, I want to leave you with a strong question. Are your friends helping you build wealth and be the person you ultimately want to be? I've given you 5 things that should be red flags and/or things you could take inventory of. And I've given you 4 very practical action items that you could start to take and make that change. With that being said, I'd love to hear some comments down below. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.